Hello everyone, my name is Kristina Barlaan, and for those of you who don't know who I am a purple belt under Gustavo Dantas. I live here in Arizona. I get to represent Team Jiu-Jitsu and Nova Neo. I am also the founder of the Inspire Project, which is essentially an open mat, which I try to keep free for the women here in Arizona, but it's open to all states, doesn't matter where you're from. You can come in and enjoy the open mat to, make it be your introduction to Jiu-Jitsu, or even start meeting the other women that are in the Jiu-Jitsu scene, since it is relatively small still. Now, to get a little more into behind what Inspire is, or at least what was my idea when I was getting into Inspire, I had this idea that, everyone always complains, or at least most women complain, oh, the women's division's so small, there's no one there, so on and so forth. And I'm the kind of person where I don't like complaining about something if I'm not doing something to fix it. Essentially, if you're not doing anything to fix a certain situation, you really don't have the right to be complaining, because you're not helping at all. You're just being a bystander and saying, oh, this is terrible. And so I wanted to take that first step, and I had to start somewhere, and kind of presented the idea to Gustavo. I'm like, wait, what do you think about if we start off with an open mat? And this could be a basis of, okay, let's get the girls excited to start training, meeting the other women that are in the scene, because it's very important that, of course there's going to be team rivalries. You're always competitive with each other, but at the end of the day, it's just a sport. It's just jiu-jitsu. There shouldn't be anything personal. If a win or loss or whatever it is, essentially, we're still women training in the sport, sharing our love in the sport, and it's very important to be able to share that with other women. I did not really have any close female friends that I felt comfortable and trusted until I started training, martial arts. Started off with the Muay Thai, and then I got to the Jiu-Jitsu. Up and before that, I was very, very concerned about what my appearance was to other women. I had to act a certain way or be a certain way. I could never truly be myself. And you always have the image of, the women who always talk behind each other's backs, and, they say that they're friends, but as soon as they leave the room, they're saying something behind their back, and I just never agree with that. And then I started training, and I started meeting other women who are like me, who essentially, they want to do something different. They want to sweat, they want to move around, roll around in the gi if they want, but have it not determine if they're feminine or not. They could still wear a mini skirt or makeup and look cute on the weekends and go out on dates and have boyfriends, but they could still essentially just be a badass. And I like sharing this with other women, because it doesn't matter if you're a tomboy. Like, I consider myself, your essential tomboy. I play contact sports, I like to play video games. I'm not high maintenance at all. I really don't care for wearing a lot of makeup or going shopping, but but there are women who do, and that doesn't mean that just because you do like to do those things doesn't mean you're too feminine, or now you can't do jiu-jitsu, or you have to look like a guy to be respected to do jiu-jitsu as a woman. You can be whoever you want to be, and it's important to meet other women who have those same values, and so that's where Inspire comes in. You can have women who come from all sorts of different walks of life. They could be a doctor, a nurse, a teacher. They could work with animals. They could have an office job or be a secretary, whatever it is. And you can come together and sweat on each other, and for a couple hours, none of that matters. It doesn't matter if you're a figure model or if you're a stay-at-home mom. You can go after these things. You can be a world champion if you want. You don't have to compete. And this is something very important too. I'm not doing Inspire just because I want all the girls to compete. I love competing, and it's definitely something that I aspire to do, but I don't expect everybody else to do that. If that's something that comes eventually, it's great. but the purpose is to actually go out of your comfort zone and to start dreaming of something bigger and better for yourself, something that you would normally think would be unattainable, something that you wouldn't be able to take a grasp of because the initial fear is there. What if this, what if that? And this is something that I still work on too. Don't get me wrong, I am not perfect. I have lots of fears and anxieties. I always tell people about how I have panic attacks and anxiety, and I've struggled with depression ever since I was a little kid. And to this day, I still have to, face these demons. I still have to work, and I need to start trying to do a little bit extra more and to get into my mental work down. So I'm not perfect. I'm not an exception. I still have to go through those things, but I have to essentially get out of my box and I have to go after it. No one's going to do it for me except for me. And Jiu-Jitsu, I feel, is a great start off for a lot of women because I think when they first see it, man, I can't do that. There's a big guy there and he's just going to be rolling on me and I'm not strong enough, or I'm too skinny, or I'm too fat, or I'm too tall, I've heard it all. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. All that matters is that you get to go out and try something new. And this could be, the floodgate that opens so that you can start doing other things. You can start going for, hey, I think I want to try and get that promotion at my work. Or, I want to go and start this project that I've always delayed. Or I'm going to ask this guy out on a date that I've really liked for a long time. Who says he has to pursue you. Maybe you can ask him out. Be bold. Be encouraged to start doing things that you wouldn't normally do, and find that strength and empowerment from being around other women who are doing the same things. You could be rolling with someone who's a world champion or pan champ or loves competing, and you could just be like, well, I just want to do for self-defense or the fitness, and that's great. You get to roll with a champion and you stand toe-to-toe, and at the end of the day, you can be like, wow, I rolled with someone who, is a medal collector, and you feel good about yourself. And it's great. You can have moms and daughters and grandmothers and nieces and cousins and your best friend do it. It's a great sport that really lends itself to women because you can be any shape or size or age to be efficient at it. No one said you had to be the best in the world to start jiu-jitsu. That's essentially saying that when you put on that dress, you have to look like a supermodel like it does in the magazine. No one's ever expecting you to be that. You just have to be you. You have to go out and pursue. I did a blog actually about, not being afraid to start to learn new things, always wanting to learn, because that way you can always enrich yourself, your head, your soul, your heart, and who knows, at the end of the day you might just end up having a new skill. And it doesn't matter if you're the best at it or not, it's the fact that you're learning something to improve yourself. So along the lines of going out and pursuing your dreams, going after the impossible and making it possible, something that I aspire to do, and hopefully I'm able to pass it on to those who do want to compete and they do want to get out there. I am a very passionate competitor. I wouldn't have thought in the beginning, because when I started training jiu-jitsu I didn't even think about competing at all. I just thought it was really fun, and it was something new to do. I actually had to break up with my boyfriend of 3 years at the time in order to start training. It was a completely toxic relationship that I didn't know how to get out of until he said that he didn't want me training jiu-jitsu for whatever reason, and I said no. I'm sticking to jiu-jitsu. You can leave now. And that was a huge step for me. That was a huge step out of my comfort zone, because for 3 years I had let this person control me. I had let this person decide how successful I was going to be, where I was going to go in life, and what I would essentially do. If he didn't want me to do something, he would say no, and okay, I won't do it, because I was so stuck and believed that I would be alone for the rest of my life if I lost him. And of course that's completely opposite, because now I'm with Gustavo, who completely supports my dreams and everything I want to do. So now I get to live my dreams. And so hopefully that's what you women can do too, is start living your dreams. And so I want to take you through a little bit. This is my accomplishment wall here. I have every medal I've ever won up here. You know, starting with the very first one. And this one actually right here is a Muay Thai one. It's from my very first time competing in Muay Thai. It was just a smoker. There's no winner, there's no loser. They just, you know, want to have like an exhibition fight, and you get to come away knowing that you got to do your first fight, and you know, everybody gets a medal, and I'm actually really proud of that because you know, yeah, it was my first time ever fighting. I've never been in a fight before. Okay, I'm a very small person. I smile all the time. I am probably the most, you know, least intimidating person that I can think of. Well, at least I don't think I'm very intimidating. Well, maybe now it's different, but back then, you know, I'm a tiny little toothpick who was just always smiling and laughing, and I don't really think anybody would ever want to start a fight with me. So I've never been in a street fight before, ever. So this will be my first time actually fighting. And then I started, you know, doing Jiu-Jitsu, and now all these now are Jiu-Jitsu medals, and this one's actually my very first one I ever won. First time I ever competed in the 2008 International Novice at the 2008 Worlds. So people tried to tell me I was a world champion. I was like, no, it says International Novice. I don't think there's such thing as a white belt world champion. And so for all yous out there, is International Novice is not a world championship title, okay? International Novice, okay? Two different things, just happens to be held on the same tournament, but I had people kind of like, you're the best white belt in the world, you're a white belt world champion. It's just like, always felt awkward about that. But my mom, you know, she's very, you know, she likes to make everything, so we have to frame it. So she framed it and she made it look all nice for me. So that's the first one, and you know, and the thing I remember about this too was, you know, I started off with Cesar Gracie in California, that, you know, my white belt, and I don't know if you know this, but these two belts right here, they're karate belts. They're not real jiu-jitsu belts, so hence why there's no black tab here, and there's no stripes. So the first time I competed at this tournament here, I have my white karate belt. It's really, really long. There's no black tab. There's no pieces of tape, and I'm standing on the podium like, hey, yay, good for me. And I'm kind of looking around at the other girls, and they have this black tab with all these pieces of tape on there. And I kind of, you know, asked my team, like, hey, what do those pieces of tape mean? Is that anything? And they're like, oh, that means they're about to be a blue belt. And I'm like, huh. You know, the little head scratch. And you know, so I didn't really, I won't say I didn't believe in stripes at that point, but I just didn't know because Cesar didn't give out stripes. But Caio also started teaching at that time, Caio Teja. So this was when he first started teaching in the U.S., was there at Cesar's. So he was also one of my first instructors. And so the 2008 Worlds, the gi I was wearing was like this blue gi that I actually bought off from Caio since he was so small. And he's like, yeah, I'll sell this to you. And I brought it. And then he ended up asking me to use my gi to compete in, and that's the gi that he wore to win. And so it's kind of funny. I always think about it like, yeah, you know, this gi, which I don't use anymore, I put it off besides the original competition gi, is the regional competition gi. It won two medals at the, you know, 2 gold medals at the world's largest, you know, tournament, essentially, the most important, most prestigious. And Caio Teja wore it. And it's funny because it's like blank. There were no patches, 0 patches. I had no idea that I should put patches on my gi. No one ever told me. I think there was like one tiny little patch from Caio's sponsor, I think was like Versatile Fighter at the time or something like that. It was a tiny little patch and it was barely sewed on, like I think to the back of the leg. So you see, you know, he's winning and he's got his arm raised, but there's like no patches. And now you see Caio's like gi and it's like patches everywhere. I was like, wow, it's such a big difference, you know. 3 years ago he didn't have a, you know, he had like one small sponsor. Now everybody's, you know, paying attention. So I always thought that was really funny. Like, oh, you should get an autograph from my town. Get an autograph. He was my instructor. Just whatever. So Then I got promoted to blue belt by Caesar after like a year and 2 months. Being only the second girl to ever get promoted by Caesar, and the first girl, I think she stopped training immediately after. I really don't know what happened to her, but she got a blue belt and then she disappeared. And same thing. This black tab wasn't even on there. I was a little afraid because he got promoted, and I moved up to Arizona. I'm like, Gustavo, am I gonna get my blue belt taken away? Because and he's like, no, you're what I would consider blue belt. I'm like, okay. And then a few months passed later, and he's like, hey, you're not gonna get any stripes until you put a black tab on your belt. I'm like, okay, like, do I have to get a new blue belt? He's like, no, you could just, sew it on there or something. Like, okay, so I got an old t-shirt, I don't know what it was, and cut it up and sewed it on there, and now I had to put that tab on there so I can get my stripes. And that was the first time I ever got stripes, so it took me, I think 2 years or a year and a half to finally get stripes, because I didn't know what they were. And so all these medals here, I have specific memories. Some of them are wins, some of them are losses, but I always like to take something away from it, because it's not always about winning, it's not always about losing. It's about the memories and the people that you get to meet. Some of the women that I know now, for example, Rhonda Andrews, okay? We're both purple belts. She's in the heavyweight division, I'm in the feather, so if we ever meet, it's always going to be in the, open class. And I met her the very first time I competed at the 2008 Worlds, International Novice. And I remember meeting her, I think we were eating some acai or whatever, and it was just like a completely random conversation. And I remember thinking, I'm probably never going to meet this girl ever again. I'm probably never going to see her ever again, because I'm thinking, everyone says, girls start training, they compete, and then they disappear. And it's funny now, is like I keep seeing her at tournaments all the time. The last time I competed against her actually was at the, American Nationals, and during the match in the semifinals of the Open Nogi, I had her in this triangle, and when I pulled her in, she headbutted me right in my eye, and she gave me this fat black eye. And then I had her in the triangle, and I was squeezing so hard, but I couldn't finish it. I was so tired, and she was just like really trying not to let me squeeze in, but I popped the vessel on her eye. And afterwards, like, oh, look what you did in my eye. It's like, look what you did in my eye, and we could just laugh about it at the end of the day. Like, we're going to compete against each other anyways, but it doesn't have to tarnish what a good friendship could be. And now she's, one of my, biggest supporters for the Inspire project. First time she came down, with just her, and, I think just her and one other person, I think. There were supposed to be other people that came in, but I think it ended up being a smaller number. And then the next time she brought like a whole army with her, and now this time the majority of the girls right now, I think the largest majority of girls coming is, from Las Vegas. I think right now I think there's about 30 girls signed up, and 5 or 6 of them are from Las Vegas, which is awesome, and I really appreciate that she would, take the time to drive all the way out from Las Vegas to come to Arizona just to train and to bond. And, and then after that, we even had a barbecue and laugh and, have a good time. And then at the end of the day, we'll see you at the next tournament when, we're trying to choke each other out again. And these friendships I value so much because I didn't really get this growing up, I'm afraid of women, afraid of, rejection and all this and not being able who I could be. So one day, when you're a competitor, if you decide that you want to compete, one day you're going to have this. And you shouldn't just stuff your medal into a box, or, if you get a, bronze medal like this, you get a bronze medal, like, oh, but I lost, and, toss it. Cherish it, because there's just so much from there, I have bronze medals from open classes, bronze medals from my weight class, like, I don't care how I got it. Well, of course I care, but it doesn't matter, like, oh, I lost, and I got this medal. Like, well, you decided to train, you committed to go to this tournament, you committed to go through and face another person on the mat. That hard work deserves, to be rewarded. And that's what that medal is going to be reminding you of. It should be reminding you of the failure, it should be reminding you of the work, the journey that got you there. I'm going to wrap this up. You know, I could talk for days. You know, most of you who know how I am, I can talk up a storm and get engaged in conversation. But I just want to send you off with just one thought. If there's anything that you ever want to do in your life, whether it be a dream, something new in your life, different course, take a class, you know, tell something to someone that you've always wanted to say, start a new sport, try Jiu-Jitsu, try to compete for the first time, whatever it is, go for it. But commit to it and decide, you know, in your heart that you really want to do it, because the only thing that's stopping you from doing anything really is you. And you have to take that first step. So hopefully I can keep in touch with you guys some more. I'm posting up some more videos, you know, hopefully more consistently. This is the first of many to come. And if you guys are interested, send me an email, Kristina@gdjujitsu.com, or you can start following my blog on Tumblr, /KBJJ, or you can follow me on Facebook, not hard to find, and shoot me your questions. I'm always open to answer your questions, give you advice, whether it be competing or whatever, training, whatever question. I'm an open book, so feel free to contact me, and I'll see you guys soon.